Hey, good evening, everybody. We're a little late here, but we appreciate you hanging on. Hopefully, we'll get some folks coming in here shortly. This is LK. I'm joined by Dominic here for Anime Wednesday. How you doing, Dominic?
I'm doing well, LK. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So Wednesday, another week has passed by. We're going to talk about current season anime here. Also, bring up a couple other news topics and anything else that comes across. Dominic, your first time on the show. Um, you know, uh, what's your anime manga background history?
Well, I've been into manga, yes, as well as anime for since preschool actually. Yeah, like effectively my gateways to Eastern storytelling range from Zoids and Sailor Moon to Yu Yu Hakusho and Digimon.
Okay. Do you have a particular type or style that you like?
I don't, no, I don't really have a preference. Whereas like similar to my passion for music which led me to becoming a music aficionado. My taste in genres for regardless if it's books, comic books, graphic novels, or even for manga and manhwa, it's pretty eclectic.
Oh, cool. And that's a great thing. I mean, that's again what I love about manga and anime is there's so many genres. It touches everything. And as I say, if there's some hobby that you enjoy, something that you like or love, there is a manga or anime out there for you.
Oh yeah, not to mention with manga, it has actually has a longer history than comic books because with comic books it's been around since the Victorian age of comics, but with manga it's being there by being around since the foundation of it can be traced back to the Heian era of Japan.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
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 even
definitely a long
so,
history. And in the U.S. here, it's probably about this point, what I guess about 60 years old. Really, I mean, the '70s are really when it started to kind of take off.
oh
Uh,
yeah, especially especially with manga. Well, first with manga being imported from Japan to the West, as well as like the earliest anime, such as like any adaptations of the Grimm fairy tales and Astro Boy
yeah.
and
So
Speed
let's
Racer.
Yep. So let's get on to some news and reviews here. So we're going to talk first about some of the current anime playing right now in this season. One of the biggest shows finally dropped their first episode this past weekend. Episode number one of Kaiju number 8. Dominic, have you had a chance to catch this one yet?
I'm not because I don't know the first episode of the adaptation is out this week. I thought it would be happening later.
No.
Well,
First episode dropped on Saturday. If you do have a Crunchyroll subscription, it will be out every Saturday. I think around 10 or 11 Eastern time. Watch the first episode. Very good, very solid. Following right along. The first volume, I'd say probably episode number one covered first
chapters.
two or three chapters because basically it ends with him getting attacked and swallowing the little tiny kaiju and turning into the kaiju and waking up in the hospital bed.
Yeah, yeah, that's honestly what I expect because when comes to adaptations of of a manga series, a light novel, or even a regular novel series from Japan, then like the episodes would adapt at least 2 to 3 chapters of the source material.
Right, and you can tell too. I mean, this is a production IG, so you can tell they spent a good amount of money on the first episode. I thought, especially the big kind of fight scene when Hibino it gets attacked looked and Ichikawa looked spectacular. So really solid. So I'm expecting a lot from it. The first episode, definitely looked like it's going to pay off. So I'm really happy with what that looked like. So I wanted to touch on just a couple of other ones. Episode 3 of Bartender, Glass of God, came out today. I'm still really enjoying the heck out of this series. It's not at all what I anticipated or thought it was going to be, kind of based on the trailer. I've mentioned before, I thought this was going to be more of kind of like an anthology series, even kind of like with the name of the Glass of God kind of thing, and the way that the trailer sort of played. I was thinking it might even go into a little bit of like Hellgirl territory, but it's not that at all. It's actually got a regular story. You're following kind of the main character there of Ryu, who's this young bartender who has come back from Japan after being a bartender in Paris. We don't quite know yet why he came back. He's a little cagey about it. He jokes about the fact he doesn't want to. He continues rebuffing the opportunities to go work for the private bar in this hotel that's being set up. As he says, well, I'm afraid of heights, even though he was the lead bartender at the Sky Bar in this hotel in Paris. So we know there's a little bit of a story there. But the show looks fantastic. Of course, they, when there's a cocktail made, the focus on it, looks like you want to just reach into the screen and grab the drink. But intriguing characters, as I say, an interesting story now kind of that's developing, where you have the chairman, you have his granddaughter who is working for the hotel, who has been put in charge of trying to find a bartender for this small bar that that the chairman wants to put inside his big hotel, to have kind of like one of those private bars that you can find in the various kind of Japanese districts. And then of course he kind of taps on and really wants this young bartender to be the bartender, and so that's where the story kind of continues to unfold. But I've really been enjoying it a lot. As I say right now, 3 episodes, I've got it as a 7. If it continues the way it goes, I could definitely see ranking this as an 8. But yeah, it's been just a really just fun, really solid series so far.
All right. I mean, but I could tell. Well, but on the way you talked about it, you're giving a lot of praise, and it earned it. Well, however, I do want to ask you, when you look into like the Glass of God, is it an adaptation like of a manga series, or is it an original anime series?
Let me see here. Episodes. Because usually I don't necessarily really pay attention to that. So it does say an adaptation, I think, looks like an adaptation maybe of a manga or a light novel called Bartender.
All right.
Is it? So normally they have that somewhat handy around here. I'm trying to think. If I back up to this,
there's a website called
Source. Yeah, manga.
Okay. All right. So it's an adaptation. All right.
Yeah. Let's see. So one other new show that's the source here says it's web manga is Windbreaker. So 2 episodes have dropped for the show so far. If you're looking for your fighting show for this season, I would highly recommend Windbreaker.
I concur.
So it's been very enjoyable. Haruka is a really interesting character because he's still trying to adapt to this area now that is treating him like a normal person doesn't consider him a freak because his hair is 2 colors and his eyes are 2 different colors. And so that chip on his shoulder is starting to slowly crumble away, but his whole goal is still to be the strongest fighter at this Furin High School, which is the school of degenerates. But of course, only after he gets there, he learns that actually what the school has become known for is a group of students that protect the town. And so in episode 2, we start to really kind of meet some of the other, characters, quirky characters in high school, kind of your typical thing. But it was still really enjoyable. And again, the interaction between him and kind of the townspeople is really something that kind of sets this anime apart from other fighting shows.
Yeah, I remember reading this one as well on Webtoons. Yeah, from the first chapter, it immediately hooked me in. Now
Okay.
all I'm waiting is for an adaptation of the Breaker manga series, which is supernatural martial arts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely, if you see the fighting scenes, I mean, they're over the top. So, but not quite sure if we're going to go the
Not
supernatural
at Saki level.
Yeah. So, and then lastly, I just want to point out, it is so great to have Konosuba back in my life. The third season, episode 2, dropped today. So episode 1 basically just kind of reacquainted us with the characters and kind of gave us our situation a little bit. At the end of that first episode, Darkness gets an invitation from the princess to have the group join her for dinner, and of course she's freaking out because she, doesn't trust the group to act appropriately in front of royalty. So episode 2, we get the meeting, and it turns out that the princess in question that they're meeting and having dinner with is like 12 years old. And it's so funny because basically she has her 2 attendants standing next to her, and anytime that she makes a comment or asks a question, she leans over and whispers to one of the attendants, and the attendant makes the announcement. And of course, eventually, Cosmo, makes a bit of an ass of himself, and but it ends really well. But I mean, it's episode 2 again has everything that you come to know from all the characters. Aqua gets drunk, just the whole 9 yards. It was great episode, and I love just having this show back in my life, and because it's been at least 2 or 3 years since the previous series.
So that's true.
Yeah, it was a real surprise when I was going through the spring releases and like, oh wow, 3rd season of Konosuba, this is great.
Considering the light novel is still ongoing, the anime adaptation is not going to run out of any material anytime soon.
Yeah, well, that's good. So hopefully, ideally, it'd be great if they could kind of speed up the production a little bit, but I don't want them to do that and sacrifice the quality. So,
right. So far with Konosuba, it's an example of doing an adaptation of a light novel right, because when it comes to adaptations for materials like that, they're rather hit or miss. Sometimes they do it well, other times, not so much due to either compressing so much or cutting out like major plot or character development.
Yeah. Well, it's just like what you see with, that's where you get closer to kind of the American style of adaptations, where we'll maybe do the general story, but we'll cut characters and combine stuff as necessary. But yeah, this has been great. I love the way that it would throw twists, in the genre. That it would take kind of established isekai tropes and kind of flip them on their head, or and the comedy ensues. It's one of my favorite shows.
Another series that does that is Cautious Hero, which is another adaptation of a light novel series, and it pokes fun at modern, and not just modern isekai, but also modern fantasy as well. Well, because like you have like the main character who is not only cautious, but he takes things like seriously, like in a funny way, which simply sets him up as a straight man for other characters, especially handler who summoned him from Japan into this mystical world.
Right. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that series a lot. And we still haven't gotten a season two.
Yeah, everybody's still waiting for that.
Yeah, that would be another pleasant surprise. I know that was one I remember when it came across. I was like, okay, this sounds kind of interesting, and somebody kind of talked me into it, and I wound up watching the first episode and was like, okay, this is all right. And then by the third episode, it was like, oh, this has got some really clever humor in it, and the story's a lot of fun. I mean, and not in terms of something similar to that, of course, not obviously directly per se in isekai, but oftentimes it feels like it because they just stay in the fantasy world for basically the entire episode. Is Bofuri or Bofuri
Yeah.
max out my defense.
Yeah.
Especially the first couple episodes of seeing somebody is like, oh yeah, I'm in this RP, I'm in this MMO RPG. Okay, I'm just gonna put all my stats into defense.
Yeah, that is rather hilarious. Yeah, I mean at the same time, like when like other world fiction like really blew up due
Yeah.
to Sword Art Online. Like one of the consistent critiques people have with most modern isekai, like, is they incorporate game mechanics, which
Right.
isn't really necessary because if you're gonna do that, have it for a sci-fi work that deals with characters like just going into a virtual world. Don't apply that onto fantasy. And other times, like it doesn't have to be an isekai. It just should have been a fantasy and another genre of fiction. Know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So you're saying that they shouldn't have us be able to put their fingers in the air and a screen pops up and
Yeah.
have the list of all their stats. I mean, there's a show like that already this year. God, I'm blanking on it right now. Is the character's name? I think is Bonza. Which one? I've got it labeled here somewhere. Oh yeah, this one here. Yeah, the level 2 cheat. Chilling in another world with level 2 super cheat powers. Yeah, it's got the same thing where he winds up getting summoned. It turns out, again, the classic two people are summoned. His skills show up. They look, not that great. He basically gets kicked out of the kingdom. They dump him off near a forest where, oh, by the way, this is where basically the whole demon army's hiding out at. He winds up doing a couple of basic things, and suddenly he's like, oh yeah, he gets a sword, he kills he slashes a couple of slimes, and suddenly he's leveled up, and now his stats are like at infinity. And he gets all these spells. But yeah, like you said, it's the mechanic, the game mechanic of suddenly he's surrounded by all these screens, and choosing a spell or whatever, and talking to like almost like an AI assistant, and it's fine. I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's no better, no worse than kind of your average isekai show so far. So it's one that probably by the end of the season I'll wind up watching, unless it just gets really boring and repetitive. But it doesn't really stand out. But it's worth mentioning because it has that mechanic that you're talking about.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Although, I'm familiar with this series before it was announced it's receiving an anime adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
So far, what you're saying is they're doing a pretty good job in adapting it.
I'll assume so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, is there anything you're currently watching?
Well, I'm currently watching the second half of season 1 one of Delicious in Dungeon. At the
Oh,
same time, I'm actually catching up with the manga
okay.
because I was reading it before it got turned when it got turned into an anime, similar to when I was following My Hero Academia when it first came out, and
Hmm.
then it received an anime adaptation.
Okay. Yeah. No, I picked that one up probably around, I think, like the fourth or fifth episode came out, just because again, somebody had mentioned it and recommended it, and yeah, felt by the second episode, yeah, I'd fallen in love with it. It's been just so much fun watching, and I just get a kick out of every time that Senshi comes up with a recipe for whatever monster or horrible thing they've vanquished. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, and still, like my favorite character is what besides Senshi, it would have to be it'd be Chilchuck and Marcel. But Marcel, like she is the ultimate straight man in fiction,
Yeah.
because that every time like Lales does what he does, I cannot help myself but smack my forehead and say, "Dude, really?"
The
Or
dumbass of the party.
yes, even though he's the leader of the party, he's also the dumbass.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe I shouldn't say dumbass, but he's always willing to just run headlong into whatever whatever challenge is out there, and sometimes without thinking. But I mean, there are times where he does come up with the strategy, and it does work. I mean, you look at when he took on the Hall of Armor, um, that was all him.
Yeah, yeah, I will give you that. I'll say he's not too bullheaded.
Yeah. So, and he still has his muscle sword. So no, I'm looking forward to the next few episodes where obviously at some point the various groups here are going to come together, um, and that should be a lot of fun. Yeah. So those are basically the highlights right now for the spring season. Um, I still don't necessarily see anything that I would say is going to reach the level of Apothecary Diaries or Freean. Um,
True.
but never know. Although I will say, if you watch, there it will be an interesting battle of who's got the cuter pout between a character named Ono in I think it's Mysterious Disappearances, or Fern
Hmm.
from Freean. So because I watched the second episode of this today as well. It came out, and the little girl character right here, um, basically had a pout that was on par with Fern's. So it was like, oh, that could cause some shockwaves in the internet. But good stuff. So that's the anime side. Did want to bring up a news point here that came out. That I think is very interesting today on the manga side. That Viz Media announced a partnership with Marvel. In that very soon, you're going to be able to see most of the Marvel manga on the Shonen Jump app. So Shonen Jump app is something I subscribe to. It's how I've read Spy Family, Kaiju Number 8, a whole host of other things. It's basically $2 a month. It's awesome. It's the way to do digital. And so it's interesting that some of these manga titles I've actually bought. I read Spider-Man Fake Red, which is a very interesting story.
Oh, dude, that one is amazing.
Yeah, the guy who idolizes Spidey, and then walking around one day finds a finds a discarded Spider-Man costume and puts it on,
It
and then
also
people are
establishes
like,
the mystery of
yeah,
what exactly happened to Peter.
yeah, Yeah, but then I love it. Like, hey, Spidey, this building over here is on fire. Can you go rescue the people? He's like, well, yeah, well, and then of course, like his inner do-gooder says, like, yeah, hey, well, I've got to do this. I'm wearing the costume, and then so yeah,
Mhm.
it's really interesting. So, and then along with that too, as they announced the X-Men manga remastered is coming out in fall 2024, and we can assume that will also show up on the Shonen Jump app at some point. So, and I know a lot of people have pretty good memories of that when it originally came out. So we'll see, but it's interesting to see if the partnership's going to go beyond this. If this means that maybe we're going to get some new future Marvel manga books or not. But yeah, definitely an interesting story, especially when you look at Marvel. Marvel still has Marvel Unlimited. I continue to hear mixed things about that in terms of the quality, the easy use of the app, and things like that. And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean,
Any thought?
honestly, it's the price, right? And it's just, well, depending on how things turn out, what people can really hope for is not to hire any of the crap writers and artists.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
to
I mean,
make like to make new like manga like based on the Marvel universe, but from the best eras and not the current era.
yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't with any of the previous manga that's been released, like the Spider-Man Fake Red or the Deadpool Samurai. So I would have to assume that it would follow the same pattern. And price wise, I mean, it's, as far as I know, all these titles are just going to be part of the regular Shonen Jump app. So there's going to be no price increase from the $2 a month.
Good.
So yeah, good stuff. So, and lastly, for you folks out there, of course, I know some people will be watching this afterwards, so it may not apply, but just wanted to make sure people are aware. This weekend, the U.S. audience finally gets the Spy Family movie, and I'm really looking forward to it. Spy Family, Code White. It's an all new adventure. It's the Forgers on vacation, and then all the hijinks that ensue. And it basically hits theaters in the U.S. here on Friday. I'm going to be really curious to see what the box office is going to wind up being for this, because I'm in a relatively small town here, and at first when I heard about this finally being released in theaters a few weeks ago, the only theater listed was about 40 miles from me. And then when I flipped over to Fandango today to check it out again, lo and behold, it's in a theater just down the street from me. So if my local theater here in my small, 100,000 person town has the movie, I have a feeling it's going to be playing in a lot of screens around the country. And it's going to be real. I'm really, really curious to see what the box office is going to be. Primarily too, because I would say, right now there's not a lot of other movies I would consider family friendly that are going to be out there. And if you look too, there are both dubbed and sub theater releases. It's actually playing on two screens in the theater near me here, and one theater or one screen has the dubbed, one screen has the subbed. Of course, me being the anime aficionado that I am going to see it in the subtitles because I want the voices that I am familiar with. But yeah, really looking forward to this. This should be a lot of fun. And I'll let you guys know next week on what I thought. Dominic, you going to go see this?
Oh yeah, I'll probably see this after I watch the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Behavior.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to try and get out and see that on Friday. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, when you get a chance to, we're not talking anime here, but when you get a chance to pair up again Guy Ritchie and Henry Cavill, that should be a lot of fun. The last time they were in a movie, or Guy Ritchie was directing Cavill in a movie, was the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Movie, and that's one of my favorite movies. And just looking at the trailer too, it has that Guy Ritchie style where he's able to just kind of hyper stylize whatever era he is placing the movie in. And so I think it looks good. It looks like a lot of fun. I just hope that the script is up to Guy Ritchie's abilities.
Yeah. No, that's understandable to feel that way. Right?
Yeah.
Well, and nevertheless, it has been shown like Guy Ritchie hasn't really lost his touch as a director, especially when it comes to the action genre.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's been hitting a lot of, not if not home runs, certainly doubles and triples. Lately. I mean, I really loved Operation Fortune. I was disappointed by how poor the box office reception was. I'm hoping that it does see a second life in streaming. I know I haven't gotten a chance, but I really do want to sit down and watch The Gentleman, which is on Netflix, which has also gotten a lot of praise. And then we've got The Ungentlemanly Warfare. So good times out there. So, it's the one thing too, is that there is good stuff out there to find. You don't always have to be consuming the latest Disney or other corporate product. So hopefully this gives you guys some ideas. Rhaegar, right now you're the only one in the comments, but we do appreciate it. I've heard The Gentleman's good. Look forward to it. Thanks again, Dominic, for being here. Hopefully you'll be able to be back next week. We'll have a new set of topics here. Again, we appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel. Hit that bell for notifications. Double check and make sure that bell says all, because oftentimes the notifications come out late. So that's the best way that you can protect yourself on that. And we will be back next week with more reviews and news. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Talk to you later.
You all later. Have a good night.